Trey of Triforia and I guess their downfall because you were their original booking agent. We were talking about the production deal and if you knew it was true or not, or if you could shed light on this Matrix audition that they had and Ted didn't show up. Have you ever heard of any of my content? Have you watched any of it in the past?
So I know that there was, okay, so I wanted to kind of clear something up too. So I know I got into a little bit of a comment thing with Marvelous Marv. And again, Marv, if you're listening, if you're watching, I no hard feelings, man. I know that we all kind of see the convention world a little bit differently. Here's what I will say to this.
Background on you and maybe like some of the clients you represented or what you do for the fandom.
Yeah, man. So, gosh, I started just short story of it. I started about 12 years ago now, about 10 years ago now, actually. I'm a graphic designer by trade. That's what I went to school for. It's what I do professionally. That's what the day job is. I had first met Walter Jones at a con, had an idea for a shirt design, and he really liked it. It was that I don't know if you guys remember years ago, he had a shirt. It was one of those like kind of like vanity shirts that you see. It was like kind of like when you see like Los Palos Hermanos for Breaking Bad and things like that. So I had like this idea for Walter Jones School for Hip Hop Keto. I made a shirt like that. He loved the idea. Sold it for years. From that, I ended up doing flyers for him, doing flyers for like a bunch of people, like when Austin was coming back, when, David, I kind of got involved with that whole crew. And then that led to me meeting Mikey with Ranger Stop, which I know you talked to John earlier. Shout out to John, shout out to Cody. Love you guys. And so worked with Ranger Stop from year 3 to year 7 on staff, doing their website stuff. And then Mikey had kind of asked me like, hey, what can we do to kind of improve
Hey everyone, and welcome to
it. And I said, you know what, why don't we, and this was in the Ranger Stop 7 show in 2019. I said, why don't we, try to get some like sponsors, like, some diehard fans, like what, because the show, obviously, as everybody knows, moved production to New Zealand in season 11, Ninja Storm. So right. For 19 years, it was there. They had a lot of actors, again, like from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, like, we aren't getting some of these faces. Why don't we get some of these faces? So from that's how both my company, Studio 43 Production and Design, that's my booking agency and graphic design agency, and Ranger Sponsors International both started right there. So it started because of John Toohey. Like John was one of the guys that I reached out to. And, he told me that I was doing a really good job. I should try the agency thing. I said, yeah, I've worked under agents before, it doesn't seem like it's terribly hard. Why not? So, but, we put pen to paper officially in like 2022 at the end of it for Ranger Sponsors International. That's kind of when it started, like officially, even though it backdoor started in 2019. COVID obviously put a kibosh on a lot of those things. That's when a lot of people came to me because they weren't doing conventions, but, like the comic book stores were around, we could do things safe distance, all that. And then from there, that rapport carried from graphic design to the comic stores into the conventions. And so, yeah, that's kind of where that's it in a very
man.
Small nutshell.
You got a strong career in the fandom. So let's talk about Trey of Triforia, because that's the main focus of today. Trey of Triforia and I guess their downfall because you were their original booking agent.
When they came back, yes, not like 10 years ago when they were first around, but yeah. So like Cody said, he came to me, was it 2023? Yeah, was that year, right? Yeah, whatever year that was, the years blend together. So yes, it was that year, I believe. So last year, no, maybe, I don't know. It was that year, I think. But so basically when he said, hey, the Triplets are starting to want to come back. You're a good guy. Cody and I met originally at PMC 2016. He was working with Kerrigan at the time, Kerrigan Mahan.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh. I think we lost him.
Sorry about that.
All right. So what did you think about them getting hung up on the whole original thing and your banner not saying original?
Look, and again, I know a lot of people have already said this, but it's like, okay, I agree with Jonathan, like the original 6. Yes. Now for me, there are so many different definitions of original. There is the original team. When we start talking about Steve, Karen, Johnny, and Kat, I usually call them original B. Like there's the original A team, the original B, but they're still that Mighty Morphin. You know, if they want to sit there and go off of the original series, then they left out the entire Alien Ranger team. They left out, some others. But, then you get into the Zeo guys, and, they don't even acknowledge Brad at all, which I know they have a history. They kept saying Justin Nimmo for OG Silver, which I get it. Like,
I was like,
he was the first Silver. Cool. But if you're going to acknowledge them, you have to acknowledge people like the original Purple and original Orange and original this, or, they didn't, you can't just say Silver and Gold without saying these other colors. Rhett Fisher is the OG American-based Ranger. I mean, come on, like it's not. I don't know. And moreover, and again, this. I know this can be hard to comprehend from somebody, but they made such a big deal about their status as a Power Ranger. I just kept saying, guys, it's a fictional show. You are not actually Power Rangers, and you cannot morph. You're not from a foreign planet.
Yes.
That's what really frustrated me. It's like, okay.
And I was listening to that interview you did with Scott Zillner, and you said, like, guys, this is not real. But sometimes for some of these people, they fall into it and it's real to them. Right. As they said, hey, if it wasn't for us, Austin St. John would have never been the Go Ranger. Now, You can say, well, if the script writers could have made David Yost the Go Ranger, they could have made anyone the Go Ranger. Can you talk about the production deal that they had? Did they share that production deal that they had that they threw away 30 years ago or 26 years ago with you? Is there any truth to that?
I don't know how true it is. I mean, they told me they told me what they told Cody. They told me what they told everybody. Oh yeah, we had it set to have our own show. Shuki Levy was writing it or whatever, and then it just got scrapped. And I'm like, okay, like cool. I mean, I'm sorry that happened. I wish that could have happened for you guys. That would have been neat to see some kind of spinoff or whatever. And truth be told, Zeo is my favorite season. I feel like it's one of the strongest seasons. I mean, you've got, in my opinion, you've got, the four, like you as a kid, we all liked, Jason and Tommy, and then we liked, but then we liked Rocky and Adam. Those guys were awesome. And then Jason, Tommy, Adam, Rocky all together. Us as kids, it's like, man, this is the strongest this team has ever freaking been.
Yeah, it's like the super team.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, I mean, like, but, for those guys to even call them their castmates, I never saw you in the theme song. Like, I think someone clocked it. And I'm not trying to throw shade. Like,
but it's a factual statement. That's a factual statement.
Is. And I think somebody else had clocked it. I've never gone back and counted myself, but somebody had said something like they only had something like 4 minutes and 20 seconds of screen time total.
Yeah, someone said they had less than 15 minutes total.
Okay, so maybe I was a little off there, but yeah, I just remember it was a really short number, and that didn't necessarily matter to me. Like so when we started working together, I wanted to make the most of what we could do. It's like, okay, these guys are adamant about being out there. They're adamant about being relevant. So it's like, okay, well, guess what? I know some people. Like I talked to DJ Rivers over with the PREU, their stuff. And I said, hey, I was trying to think creatively with these guys. And I said, look, these guys, it's really cool that, they're 3-in-1 type of person. What if like we did a story with them to where they went back to Triforia and we did this whole story where they got to.
Lost him again. He'll come back, guys. He'll come back. But as you see, Brandon was literally trying to help them come back to the fandom. Like he's like, yo, I got this idea. We're going to pitch it this way. And guys, Brandon Benfield is big in the industry. Big in the industry. He may not know me, but we definitely know him.
Okay.
Boom.
I'm on my phone now, not my laptop, so we shouldn't have this issue anymore. Sorry.
All right. We were talking about the production deal and if you knew it was true or not, or if you could shed light on this Matrix audition that they had and Ted didn't show up.
Oh yeah, that's right. I heard. Okay, yeah, they kind of told me a little bit about it. I know what you know, man. Like I wish I knew more. To be honest, man, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So you know, all right. So let's get to the crash out. Let's start talking crashing out. Crashing out just means like career sabotage. If for me.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So
okay.
it starts with this picture right here.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So, okay, Mikey here's what happened. Mikey put that on Facebook. He had that link to his Instagram. Now, again, this isn't Mikey's fault. I get it. So I made that as a 5x7. I made that poster thing. I made that as a 5x7 printout card that he could hand out at cons. Mikey liked the design so much that he was like, all right, I'm gonna put it on social media, put it on Facebook, but it cut, like we talked about, like John talked about, it cut off going on Instagram. So they only saw the Instagram. They didn't see the Facebook. I think Cody ran the Facebook. They didn't touch it. They were only really on the Instagram stuff. So when they saw that, they were bad. And John was right. Kevin Nash was our huge headliner that year. Now, sadly, that was the year of the hurricane. Yes, that was 2022. Okay, now I remember. So, Kevin got a bunch of trees blocked his street. He couldn't even get out. He lives in Daytona, so he could not get out of his house. So Kevin had to cancel. But anyway, that's irrelevant. But yeah, so those guys were at the top. I put them at the top with a big gold Ranger on it. I wanted people to be able to see them. I didn't put them way at the bottom or over in the corner off to the side. I did put them in a top spot so people would see it on the flyer. If there are some people who read from top to bottom, and I put them on the top.
Yes. So, and I saw you make that argument. I'm like, well, they should just be happy that they're on there. Everyone's on there. Placement. It just seems such a minute thing to get upset over placement on a flyer per se. That was just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So
I want to speak to something else you said earlier. You said this might bring up past trauma or whatever, like bring it out. Not necessarily. It honestly didn't really affect me that much. I'm pretty strong when it comes to this kind of thing. The only thing that really bothered me was I was actually in the middle of a lot of work at that time, getting stuff done for other Rangers. Like I was building a site for Jazz Bedwalia. I was in the middle of getting some other con stuff going. And I had people that, I didn't know. Like there were fans that were like, hey, did you see what's going on here? What are you going to do about it? I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. Like it was more of the people trying to get the tea and like that I didn't know that. And I had like my family asking, like my parents like are great parents, but they're not really involved with this stuff with me. They were asking what's going on. I had my college professor, my philosophy professor, like, hey, is somebody talking bad about you online? I'm like, yeah, it's this whole thing. So it was more of the time. It was more of people that were concerned. It's like, are you okay? Like it was all the are you okays, which don't get me wrong. I am so thankful for, and I love you all for it. But at the same time, it was like, do I have to tell the story 800 times? Like, that was the only thing that really affected me was just productivity. So I just wanted to clear that part of it up.
Well,
so.
let's clear up some more stuff. We have another post. This $13 off rush 1 day sale. We fired you before you posted it, or something like that.
All right. So here's the funny thing. All right, I'm East Coast. I'm Indianapolis area.
Okay.
I'm 3 hours ahead of these guys. So, they were, again, we were talking about how these guys were not, they kept saying we're not getting promoted enough with the Ranger side. Why aren't we getting promos like Kevin Nash and Judith Hogan and even Walter Jones and the people we had there? I said, okay, well, again, I wanted to serve them by, making more promos involving them, because it's like people know that they're coming. And I literally was, it was Halloween. Okay. I'm a massive horror, other than Power Rangers, I'm a massive horror fan. So I'm doing what I do every Halloween. I'm passing out candy, watching my Halloween movies, literally the Halloween franchise. And I'm sitting there trying to watch it with my wife. And, so Mikey and I are talking like, hey, what can we do to make these guys happier? Because they said they're not getting enough promotion. And so it was literally like 13 days until the show. And it was like, we're trying to do ticket sales and whatnot. Why don't we make a promotion that like involves them? It's always trying to say, it's time for a gold rush. It's like, hey, let's get these tickets now for this discount or whatever. And, it's promoting them in the process. Mikey shared that post, I think at midnight. I went to bed and I woke up to several messages asking Brandon, why did the triplets cancel? And I'm like, they canceled? I didn't know they canceled. I woke up and I looked at their Instagram and it's their flyer with a big red canceled on it. I'm like, they didn't tell me this. Like, they were yelling at me the night before saying, why aren't you giving us promotions, or why isn't Mikey promoting us? It's this close to the show. Why not this? Why not that? And so when they were looking at the timestamps, and again, John went through this with Ted. It's like, dude, yeah, it was 9 p.m. for you. Sure. But it was 12 a.m. my time when we posted that flyer. And so they thought that I posted that after they, whatever, fired me or whatever. So it was just all a matter of time zones. Like, they weren't paying attention to the timestamps and time zones.
Yeah, and I can see that easily happening. Now, were you bent out of shape when they fired you, or were you like probably relieved in a sense?
Here's the thing. I tried so hard with these guys. I wanted to get them shows. It's not that I was playing favorites with anybody else or whatnot. You got to think about convention promoters. John was talking earlier about how Mikey is just a small business owner. A lot of Comic-Cons are run by small business owners or teams of 2 or 3. Sometimes it's a husband and wife. Sometimes it's a small team of 10 or fewer. There's only a certain amount of budget that comes from these things. And you obviously want to get your headliners. There's guarantees. There's all these things else. With the triplets, it was so hard for me to get them shows because no promoter wanted to fly out three people and put for one character, for one role. I mean, they were 3 and 1. Yeah, that sounds cool in the show, but for money's sake and for everything like that, there wasn't a budget for them. And that was the hardest part. So it wasn't any skin off my back losing them. I run my businesses with one business model, and everything you do remain professional. And so I never wanted to slam them. I never wanted to talk smack about them. I never wanted to do any of these things to hurt them. I showed love to these guys in every single step of the way. And so, for them to come at me, and here's another funny thing. When he came out and said, I want to apologize to everyone, and he started naming, I didn't get one. And you know what? I was probably one of the only ones that would have ever wanted to work with them again and work this out professionally and talk it through. But they didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I wanted to do that.
Okay. Now, do you think they can go back with how difficult they were and continue to be, or is that door shut for them to go do conventions?
To be honest, the door is shut with me. It's one of those forgive and forget situations, or forgive but not forget situations. I mean, I would never sit there and hold a grudge against them. I would never say anything poorly or bad about them, but I think there is just too much that had happened to where it's not a good fit for myself and the 3 of them to work together. Now, I did have a little bit more of a personal friendship with Tim, not as much as Cody, obviously. There was a family aspect there. I talked to Tim more than anybody else. I would love to talk to Tim again, but I know that someone told me they changed all their numbers. There was a lot of other stuff that I heard about some potential things that sounded really bad. And I wish them all the best. I hope that they're doing okay. But again, it's not in the cards for me and what I'm doing, especially where the franchise is now, and not knowing what 2025 looks like. After
I know it's looking grim. It's looking grim.
I hate to say it, but yeah, it is. I mean, and I hate to see that because it's like we as a fandom, it's what I love about Power Rangers is it's like we're involved in it. You know what I mean? You don't see a lot of franchises like that. Supernaturals are like that. Others are, but I just feel like there's this. You don't see a lot of Ninja Turtles like this. There's not. This fan base where they're always constantly hanging out. Whatever, Rangers are always hanging out with fans at cons. VIP parties. They're going around just doing shots. Whatever. Whatever they're doing, but. There's such an involvement with the fandom, with us and the actors, and there's personal friendships dude, I'm on my way down to Knoxville, and then after that, I'm getting ready to spend a week with John Toohey down in Atlanta. I mean, we're just that close. We're brothers. he's filming Moana. I want to see him. And I just, he's invited me down. So it's like, that doesn't happen, I feel like, with a lot of other franchises, and to see where it's going, it's scary. It's like, man, are we going to be sitting here talking about this stuff still a year from now? So
I hope not. I mean, we'll see. I
meant like Power Rangers as a whole.
Yeah. I think people, my channel is a little bit nostalgic, and I'm sure people are be talking about it. And, we'll have like Ranger movie nights and episode nights where we watch episodes in Discord. But as far as like the comics are shut down, there's nothing filming, there's nothing coming down the pipeline. The Netflix deal is done. It looks like Power Rangers has been treated like a stepchild per se in the industry, which is unfortunate because the fandom has so much faith in it. We love it. We want something new. We crave for something new, and we're just not getting it. Now, can you speak to the $1,000 that was quote unquote stolen from them for airfare? Can you speak to that?
So I told the guys, I told them repeatedly in the conversation, I said, look, again, it goes back to what I just said. It like promoters have a hard time spending that kind of money on flights. Now, there's another part of it that I don't know if we've talked about tonight, but they told me that between the three of them, they spent $2,000 on flights. Now I'm trying to add that up because I'm like, what kind of flights did you guys get? Because I just paid $300 to go to LA for PMC and back. Like,
oh, that's a good price. A good price.
Yeah, $300-$400. But it's like, how are you guys spending $2,000 on flights? That doesn't make any sense. So, but anyway,
business class.
Right. So Mikey told me, he said, look, we're going to try, he told me to tell them, like, it's not a guaranteed thing, but we will try to reimburse them for their flights if we can. And I hammered that in. I was like, look, I cannot guarantee you that there will be $1,000. I can't, but we're going to try. And that money ended up getting spent toward their hotels, their hotel room. There was a sponsor that had come through saying that they would get their hotels for them. So it's like they would only have to spend their flight. That was all they had to do. And then for somehow, some way that got turned back into, well, you guys didn't, you stole $1,000 from us. You promised us. Yeah. It's like, dude, I told you flat out that this is not a guaranteed thing. I said we would do our best. That's all we can do.
Any questions for Brandon Benfield? Now, you represent a lot of people, and Chanzo must have seen your collection. He said you have by far the best collection, hands down.
Of actors or toys and stuff?
Powering toys and stuff. He's a collector as well.
Yeah, I go through phases with my stuff. Like I actually had got. Right now, I've just kind of really got Lightning collection, and then the other half is horror stuff. But I mean, at one point, I had about 25 helmets and such. But again, with my hobbies and such, I kind of go through and I'll sell stuff to get stuff, sell it, get it, whatever. So at that point, I had sold a lot of my helmets to get more guitar stuff. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, at one point, I did have a pretty solid, decent collection of both vintage Lightning and helmets. But yeah.
Okay. So if they were to pay for their hotel and flight, would they be able to attend like this year's Power Morphicon? Do you think Scott would let them back?
Based on what happened between them, I can't speak for Scott, but I would guess no.
Okay, so they're pretty much.
And I'll even go further to say this. So, and again, I can't speak for Scott, whatever. But Scott is doing if you guys have seen, Scott is throwing out promotions. Like he's promoting like everybody that gets announced. He's promoting them like 3 or 4 times within the week. He's trying to do better with. I mean, I didn't think he did bad before, but there was 120 guests that year. And he was doing a rotation of like, one, he'd go through like 1 a day or 2 a day or whatever, and then it would come back around to the triplets. Nobody got any more or less special. I know he said that maybe he promoted JDF, maybe more, but like, you guys know JDF. He never really needed the promotion like that. Yeah. I mean, if people knew he was coming, he's going to have a line. And we saw that Saturday. I mean, I feel like with some of the people I was there, it's like I remember Saturday feeling slower because that was the day that Jason was there. People wanted
Okay.
to meet Jason, but people were doing more on Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
So
Somebody said they met you. Someone said met Brendan at Ranger Stop as a regular fan, having him helping me out with some autograph stuff was incredibly kind of him, and it's been really cool talking with him since then. This is King Snow. I don't know if you remember
oh
King
yeah,
Snow. Oh, look, he's like, oh yeah, I remember King Snow. Oh, great. Oh,
is that Keith? Is that Keith? If it's Keith, then yeah, I'm helping him out with some stuff. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, and look, I'll say this too. Like if I meet you at a convention and I forget about it, like it's nothing personal. It's I take care of the people. I had 10 people at Ranger Stop. I have 39 people at Power Morphicon this year.
holy
And
crap.
we're working on a 40th. It's going to be huge. I can't say anything about it yet because I don't know if it's for sure, but let's just say I got a DM last night that I wasn't expecting to get. So
Okay. All right. So big announcements coming from Brandon. Now we got a couple super chats.
potentially, but yes.
Potentially that he's not going to name drop here, but if you wanted to like name drop a hint, a color or something, we take all that stuff. We wouldn't, it's a small channel. No one watches us. He's pointing at something on his arm. Say less, say less, say less. All right. So, someone said the OG Power Rangers commercials have more screen time than the triplets. Oh, we got trolls. Sorry. The OGs were too hot to handle. But this guy who has seen your collection says, don't be modest, Brandon. Your photo collection is fire.
Oh, that collection. Oh, yeah. Okay. So he's talking about the autographs. Yeah. So, well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I did it halfway selfishly to meet Power Rangers myself. But also, I went to New Zealand in 2022. So I went there to try to recruit new faces to come to Morphicon and other cons here in town. And because some of those are in the States, because some of those guys, they don't really know what this is all about. Like they don't, and they're not just going to trust a stranger over a DM on Instagram or whatnot. So like we met with Ruben Turner. Here's a good example. We met with Ruben Turner at a cafe in New Zealand. And, he was very unsure of it. He's got young kids. He's got, his wife and such. And he didn't know what it was all about. He told me at Ranger Stop 2022 that he came, 2023, that he came because my buddy Tom and I met with him and we were able to kind of explain to him things in person. And again, this is where it goes back to my business model of remain professional in everything you do. Have a game plan of what you want to do. Have that, etiquette, build that rapport. Like I can't stress that enough. Like if, and for me, it's, if I'm a fan of it, I can market it. So it's like, I can tell you why these are good things. I can tell you why you can come here to this country and make money. Power Rangers is huge here. It's not huge in New Zealand. I think it might still be banned in New Zealand or it got just lifted or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so literally, I think with Ranger Sponsors International, we have somewhere close to 20 to 25 people coming. I'd have to go back and look at the list, but yeah, it's big.
Okay.
So
we go ahead.
We finally got Melanie Villaggio coming. We've got people like, Jason Chan. We've got,
I'm just scrolling through it to see if you could shout out your 39 people that you're representing at Power Morphicon.
Michelle Langston, Barney Duncan. We've got one name that's a little obscure that's probably going to be announced this coming Monday. I don't want to prematurely say it, but they're confirmed. We've got like Tessa Rao, and we've got she's not one of mine, but Jacqueline Joe is coming through another agent. We work pretty well together. So but yeah, we've got, let's see, like I think I said Barney Duncan, Ruben Turner, Ryan Carter. One that's not an RSI, but one that I've been working on for 3 years that I finally got her to do it. Psycho Pink, Vicky Davis.
She's been very popular. Every time some people that came on is like, oh, that's my favorite Ranger, but she doesn't do cons. So is this like one of her first? It's her very first. So wow. I know people are like, now get Psycho Yellow. Trust me,
Patrick, David, Justin, Nimmo, myself, we've all been trying. So it's just, yeah. And we've taken some extreme measures to try, and I just don't think she wants to. It's, yeah.
Someone super chatted, Chanzo, what would it take to get some more Lightspeed Rangers or Danny Slavin at Ranger Stop? We don't see them enough. I saw the Jungle Fury tattoo. You know, like I'd be trying to keep people to keep it quiet, but you know, some people are louder than others. So
I'll say that this person reached out to me last night. Again, it was a very big surprise. And I just kind of, all I can say is I hope they follow through with their interests. That's the best way I could say it right now. So, but for this person that I'm talking about to come, it's literally, that's all it's going to take, because we've already got like everything in place. I just need this person to say yes. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they were interested, and they said, hey, this is what's going on with me. Can we make it work this way? And I said yes. So I just need him to be on board. And I said him, but I need him to be on board.
All right. So what is one act that's not the act that you were alluding to that you've always wanted that you've never been able to book?
Act. Okay. Probably Chimera, honestly. I mean, I came into this professionally like a little later. I was actually getting married the year that Ricardo, the last time we ever saw him at an appearance. So I'm bummed because I couldn't go to Power Morphicon 2020 or 2014. You know, I know there's history with that. I know people feel differently on what happened, but I still want to meet him. You know, I still want him there. Oh, and another one. So again, the two hardest ones for me that I was, you know, on the cusp of working with was James McLurkin, who we just had at Ranger Stop, Atlanta, and then Vicky Davis. So, but yeah, I would love for, you know, Gareth Ewan's another one we've been trying to work with. He's very heavy into the whatever Australia's version of Broadway is. So he's been very busy with the show over there, but you know, he's one that we're trying to convince to. So, yeah,
someone said you need to get Bryan Cranston to show up.
Dude, all right. Let me tell you a little bit about Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston. So I work with RJ Mitty a little bit. Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad. He told me that he had him set up for a $500,000 appearance, and he declined. That's how much he doesn't want to sign. He signs the liquor bottles or whatever at you know, different Costco's and Sam's Clubs. But if you try to take something Power Rangers there or Breaking Bad there, he won't sign it.
Oh, so, no, he's not one of those guys who hates the Breaking Bad stuff, even though I
don't know if he's just nervous about his signature being out there or what. But again, I know they've gone to that length to get him that kind of guarantee / appearance fee, and he declined. So
wow, I literally just saw like an interview that he did in the Red Ranger suit not too long ago, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
So yep. I just haven't got around to playing it for the audience. Any hope to bring Ranger Stop to New Mexico?
I don't. I'm just a consultant with those guys now. Same with Power Morphicon, but I don't think so. From what I know, there will be more knowledge about more probably with Ranger Stop stuff in 2025. So
okay, all right. Well, any last questions for Brandon? Because I know it's probably late for him. It's late for me. But,
yeah, of course.
Look, man, I'm happy you came on. You know, I appreciate it. Have you ever heard of any of my content? Have you watched any of it in the past?
So I know that there was, okay. So I wanted to kind of clear something up too. So I know I got into a little bit of a comment thing with Marvelous Marv. And again, Marv, if you're listening, or if you're watching, no hard feelings, man. I know that we all kind of see the convention world a little bit differently. Here's what I will say to this. You've got a lot of these celebrities coming out like Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, all of these like crazy A-list names that are like, I mean, what Mel Gibson just got announced for Salt Lake Fan X. Uh-huh. He's a $200 autograph, and if you want a quote on it, it's like another $100 or something. It's insane. So, I mean, I feel like for Walter to charge however much, 60, 80, whatever, I feel like you're getting it pretty good. I mean, I know it's just everything is so expensive now. And I know these people are trying to make a living. I know everything, you know, I know we have all different opinions on what people should be charging at shows. it's just hard now because it's like, we're not in the mid 2000s anymore to where people are going to shows for free, signing for $5. I mean, dude, yeah, that would be amazing. Like, I would love that. But it's just for some people. I mean, I know I'm about to, even as an agent myself, I know I still go to these conventions. I'm in a days in right now, dude. Like, I paid for this room myself. I'm going to Fan Expo. I'm getting ready to meet I'm going to the Turtles 40th anniversary thing. I'm probably gonna have to pay a bunch of money for autographs there, but it's one of those things where as much as I hate seeing prices go up, man, it's like, it's, people have to just stay ahead of the times, and
Hey,
again,
you
I meant
have.
no hate. I meant no hate to Marvelous Marv. So again, I saw him at Ranger Stop, and I meant to go over to him, but by the time I tried to find him, he was gone. So again, I don't want any hate or animosity toward him or anything. And so yeah, I'm
I
sorry if it came off that way.
I am appreciative of you addressing you coming up on my show head on, man. That takes courage. One, for you to just come up on the show. Two, for you to come up on the show knowing that we did cover the conversation that you had with Marvelous Marv. A lot of people wouldn't have done it. So much respect to you for that. Anything you want to promote now? Where can people find you on social media?
Man, Ranger Sponsors International is still, we're still tying up a few things for PMC. So if anybody wants to donate there, it's cool. If not, come enjoy the show, come meet these people. I mean, they're coming up from New Zealand, Australia. They're excited to meet everybody. There's one in particular that hasn't been announced yet that I know that they're very excited to meet fans. They find it so fascinating. And I just want Power Morphicon to be a fun time for everybody, including the guests and, the fans, obviously too. They're what make it. But, we don't know what the future of the franchise looks like. So I would highly, highly recommend attending Power Morphicon in whatever way you can. If you haven't been before, it's a fun time. It's an entire convention room the size of however big you go to a Comic-Con at your local town, but all Power Rangers. So,
okay. I do have a question from JDS former assistant, Frances Rodriguez. She said, "Are we blocked though?" As in me and her. Could I go to Power Morphicon?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I would have to ask Scott, but
Okay.
I don't see why you couldn't go to PMC.
Okay, well, it was some back and forth with Scott, not with me. I never had a conversation with Scott, but he did call me a hate monger for all the Austin St. John, I guess, drama per se. Which I don't care, but Francis is interested in going. I never really go to cons, so when I was blocked from Ranger Stop, it really was like, whoa, I didn't know I got blocked, but. So that's kind of like the elephant in the room with like Francis. She wants to go to PMC, but she's worried that she's going to be blocked. So,
I mean, look, here's what I'll say about Scott. Scott, there was a point where Scott and I, like in the beginning, he kind of thought I was just like a super weird fan, and like he just had never talked to me. So, because I was with a friend of mine I was with a friend of mine backstage when the Ninja Steel cast was before the Ninja Steel cast was announced. I was with him, and got pictures with them in their suits and stuff. I think that originally that had rubbed off on Scott bit like bad, but after just talking to him and just apologizing and just kind of admitting, hey, I didn't mean to disrespect you like that. We were good, and that's so that's when he started having me help him with stuff and such, and so it's one of those things where it's like if there's any beef or I didn't even know you were blocked from Ranger Stop until you said something.
I was banned. I was deemed a threat to Austin St. John and his team. So
sure.
I mean, but I don't go to these conventions, so it's like blocking me from something that I wasn't attending. I made it known that, hey, I had my daughter that weekend. I wasn't going to be an attendee. But when someone told me I was blocked, I was confused at first, but then I guess it made sense. So, but hey, man, we really appreciate you coming up on the platform. I'm telling you, you made this probably is the biggest Rangers show on YouTube, but you've gained so much respect for coming on a show that covered you probably not in the most favorable light, and you set the goddamn record straight. So even everyone is like, thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. People in the chat are like, yo, we want to support you. You should, you set a great example for how I would say Rangers should address their controversy or perceived controversy. Hey, I'm gonna address it head on. I'm gonna come on there. I'm gonna speak my side, and I'm sure Marvelous Marv is going to see this at some point too. If he's not watching, he'll probably message me afterwards and be like, "Yeah, I get it." So.
Sure. And, you know, I would never want anyone to, and again, I say this in posts a lot before cons just because people are like, man, I want to talk to you. You look so mad. I'm like, because I know I've got some pretty like rough RBF, and I'll admit that. But a lot of times when you see me at a show, I'm either executing the plan and helping out somebody, or I'm just tired and just experiencing the con myself.
Yeah, when you're a fan, like, look, man, I'm trying to go get some autographs and pictures too here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that, especially like if you like, hey, I'm off the clock right now. I just want to be a fan for a moment.
Sure. And, you know, I've got several friends in this fandom, and, you know, I want people to know that they can approach me. They can talk to me. If I'm in the middle of something, I might ask you to come talk to me later, but, you know, it's all respect. There's no issues with me or you guys or anybody. So, you know, there y'all have it. Brandon came on and set the record straight.
He didn't dodge any questions that were posed. And so I don't want to hear nothing, no smoke for Brandon, because he came on here and he's been on here for a while. Very generous with his time, which we greatly appreciate. Everyone's like, thanks, Brandon. Brandon. Yeah. We appreciate you, Brandon. And we hope PMC goes well and you enjoy yourself at Fan Expo. All right.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. It was great talking to you, man. It's good to meet you. And, you know, I wish we could talk more. I know it's late for you probably too. What, 12:45 there?
It's 12:45, but I'm known to have like 5 and 6 hour streams, and they keep me up for it. Like I like in my background, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people waiting to talk to me. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
That would be, it's going to be a long night for me, but hey, we appreciate you, man. You can come up anytime, promote anytime, and tell Scott Zillner I said hi. All right.
Sure. Will do, man.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Guys, y'all not getting this goddamn content anywhere else. Anywhere else. Let them know, Francis.
I did. I wrote earlier. I was like, yo, Henry, you're the only one that got this content.
Exactly. It's the best Rangers show on the goddamn planet. And it's been that way for about a year strong. How you doing?